Welcome, everybody, to episode number 2, the Carolina Hockey Podcast. So today's episode is brought to you by, of course, DuPraw Powerskating. I'm one of the only sponsors. And Scout My Game. If you are looking for help in getting recruited and building pipelines to coaches to find out and get the word out about you, go to scoutmygame.com, get your free player profile. Today, I am joined, this is actually really cool because somebody that I've been on the ice with, Alyssa Gagliardi. Did I say it right, Alyssa?
Yeah, close enough.
I know it's Italian. I know it's got some flavor in there. And she is one of the new coaches of the Carolina Junior Hurricanes girls elite team that's brand new this season. I brought Alyssa on not only because I've been on the ice with her and I like how she operates as a hockey coach, but I wanted her to talk about the new program, giving girls an option to stay home in the Carolinas, as well as you're also pulling players from out of state, I hear. Is that correct?
Yeah, we have girls, I think, from 4 or 5 states.
That's awesome.
Which is pretty cool. So yeah, we're looking to be a program, obviously in the Southeast, but hopefully in a few years somewhere, a program that any girl that wants to compete and get better, from across the country could come and join.
So I want to take a deep dive into that. And then also if you could, after that, we'll shed some light on kind of your story and kind of how you did not have those options and you had to create your own path. Does that sound cool?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right. So first of all, so you and Coach Mike, former coach of NC State, were you kind of approached with this possibility and this opportunity, or is it something that you had a part in kind of bringing to the Raleigh area?
Yeah, well, a lot of the credit there will go to David Ray, who's the director of the Carolina Junior Hurricanes girls program. Right. He approached Mike and I probably about a year ago now, maybe December 2019. But he had this idea for a program that would really mimic kind of the boys junior model, but on the girls' side.
Okay.
And just as a place where, if girls couldn't or didn't want to go up to prep school or didn't want to have to leave home or, just weren't ready for that step yet, that they would have a really, really competitive place to not only play, but develop with ice time, with off-ice training, with, kind of individual player development and things like that. So it was really kind of his vision. So he put a lot of hours into it, even 10, 12 months ago. So to finally see it all come to fruition, we have a dedicated locker room space at a brand new facility in Raleigh at the Weight Competition Center. So it's just like the boys junior locker rooms down the hall. So it's really exciting. It's something that I never thought would be an option down here,
right.
When I was younger, and to see it all kind of come full circle is really cool. And so, David approached Mike and I and, wanted to see our interest in getting involved and, different things like that. And, I think for me, the big reason it was a yes for me was I knew we'd have the amount of time you need to really develop girls at this level. So we're on the ice 4 or 5 days a week. We've got 4 or 5 hours of practice in addition to games, in addition to 2 off-ice workouts a week, in addition to team meetings, really being able to have the time you need to develop players more than just the average youth of, maybe 2 practices a week and one's a half sheet or something like that. So that's what really drew me to the program.
So speaking of that specifically, what has been the, the acceptance or the girls kind of coming from a program, even AAA or where they only had 2 hours a week into this? Was it kind of a harsh reaction, or was it easy for them to slide into, or?
I think it varied. I think some girls adapted really quickly. I think some girls were very excited about it, but took a little longer to be like, okay, like I got to bring my A game, every practice. Cause now, right, you're in a team where everybody was the best player on their team last year in the area, whether, and we're a pretty young team. We've got, we got girls from 15 to age 19. So we're more of a 15, 16-year-old team, but we got some really good more veteran players. But it's definitely, it's been an adjustment. It's been interesting to see getting thrown into this new program, new environment, really a lot more competitive than I think girls are used to. And also a program with higher expectations. Like we expect very high level of compete, effort, attitude every single day. So I think it's definitely been great. And obviously COVID has put a fun twist on this entire season so far, with games getting canceled and things like that. But again, I think we're fortunate because we get the ice time we do. So if games get canceled, it's like, you know what, we're still having hard practices. We can compete. We can get our, add an additional off ice training to make up for, some of the things we're missing out on early on in the season.
Okay. So that I want to touch on that. You have the spectrum of ages, but you're primarily more heavy on the younger side, correct?
Yeah, I'd say probably 60% of our team, 60-70% of our team could be playing U16.
Okay, so the hope is that these girls, they stay in the program, and over a couple of years they just develop.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is something that we hope to really make kind of the place to play when you're a, girls hockey player and you're 10, 11, 12 years old and you're starting to look, and you want to aspire to join this program. You want to aspire to make this team, not only in the Carolinas, but in the Southeast. So, starting, I think this was, when you're looking at it, this was kind of the first, that younger age group, the 15, the 04s, 05s.
Mm-hmm.
That was really the first age group I think we felt that this could actually be reality, because there was enough depth of talent. The girls were very much wanting to reach higher levels of college hockey and things like that. So I think when you had enough depth to fill a full team of that, then that's what is, obviously making a reality. Makes us young, but it helps us build for the future.
And I was talking to Coach Mike. You are housed primarily in Tier 2, right? That's going to be the majority, 90% of your schedule will be Tier 2.
Yep, that's correct. So we'll play a couple Tier 1 teams.
Yeah, and that's coming up, right?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. So
what do you think about that? Like, tell me where the team's at now, because I know you've already got your feet wet and you got your first taste of competition. So
yeah, by now we probably should have played 10, 15 games, but we've only played about 5. So a little behind in terms of games that we'd like, but again, we've been able to practice consistently for almost 2 months now, which has been great. So it'll be a good challenge. I think so. We'll be playing the Washington Pride. They're a Tier 1 team out of DC and Maryland area, and they're a good program, right? Like they've sent girls to D1, D3, girls that have played on the national team in the Olympics. So it's a good program that has a long history, and I think it'll be a good test. It's good to see where you stack up, and again, being a younger team, we're playing teams where most of the girls are 17, 18, 19.
Right.
And getting ready to head to college and things like that. So it'll be a good test, but I think it's something, we need to see where we stack up, and it's good for the girls to, make sure, hey, there's a lot of good female hockey players out here. This is what we want to aspire to be. And, we've got a few years to get there.
That'll be a good measuring stick for you guys for sure. Tell me, so far, I mean, I know your expectations. I know Coach Mike's expectations are gigantic, but this thing's just a baby. It's still brand new. So tell me about like some of the wins after some of your games, not wins per games, but wins for the program that you're seeing, in positives, and some struggles where you're still like, holy cow, I didn't even think about that. We got to work on that. Tell me the good, the bad, and the ugly, if you will.
Yeah. I think the good is again, the work ethic of the girls. I think there's no question that they want to be there, and they're willing to put in the work, and they're willing to, learn and absorb new information. We have realized that, hey, sometimes it's going back to the fundamentals. We do a lot of pretty basic passing, but, that's something that we're struggling with right now is making plays and making tape-to-tape passes and supporting the puck. So while it seems basic, it's something that's going to be foundational to our game. So we need to work on that now so we can build upon that. So I think that's something that, we're constantly working towards every day, is, some of these little habits that just make a really big difference in the game. And we're fortunate We record all of our practices. We record every game. So we're doing a lot of video review with the girls to really, just use it as a teaching tool of, hey, you had the puck here, what were your options, right? Because in a game, you're so sure that you had no options, you had no time and space, and then you watch the video and, making that cross ice pass when you could have gone D to D, it's definitely eye-opening. I think a really great teaching tool just for, some visual learning. But I think those are.
Give me a quick tutorial on Huddle, because you guys keep sending me the I'm like, that's awesome. Do I say something, or do you're gonna have to?
Yeah, feel free to jump in there. Yeah, no, Huddle's been a great tool for us, and is something we're definitely going to continue to use. But it's just good to be able to, review a lot of the things that happen, even in practice. We'll sometimes pull clips from practice of just little habits that, if we're not doing it in practice, we're not going to do it in a game. So it's being able to highlight those things. And again, I think the girls, they want to learn, right? They're not resistant to it or anything like that. I don't think they're too good, but it's just, getting through that those habits are really what make the difference, but we've all got to do them.
So I'm going to put you on the spot here, and I know you could name the entire team, and I get that. If you were a coach, say some prep schools up north, can you give me several players' names and maybe some older ones that are going to transition out pretty soon, where you're like, keep this name in mind because you're going to be hearing this name a lot come in the future? Are you willing to give me a couple juicy names in there for some superstars that can fly up and down the ice for you right now?
That's a good question. I mean, we have a lot. And again, with some of our girls being so young, there's so much like raw talent and potential. Right. So I don't know if I can really pick one. I think, some of our older players that, they're starting to, they're looking at colleges and things, but, Katie Carlson, she's our captain and got a crazy hard shot. And then, Meg Touring on one of our centers. She's smaller player, but really shifty, smart with the puck. And I think those two, just some of our older players, but I would say our roster is pretty full of girls that have a lot of potential, right. And are committed to getting better each and every day.
Well, and I think I got a big heart for the small shifty players too. I don't think people really quite understand the experience that these girls are. I mean, I'm jealous, right? Because to say it's just a new 2-sheet complex of ice, that is like short selling it. I mean, it's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Locker rooms are amazing. I mean, they're so spoiled. I'm like, what? This is a great experience that you're giving everybody. Are they taking it for granted, or do they understand how big this is?
I don't know if they all realize how kind of cool it is. I think the new facility is just, top notch. Obviously a big upgrade from the Hurricanes previous practice facility. So I think they'll be really happy with it too. But I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find a better facility with some of the locker rooms and the space and, the lobby and, all these different things. You
have play-by-play for your games. Are you kidding me?
So,
I was watching it the other night and I was like, what?
Yeah, I think, you'd be hard pressed to find probably a nicer facility for a lot of, girls junior programs, girls U19 programs in the country. So we're definitely fortunate. Hopefully the girls realize it too. But yeah, we feel fortunate that it worked out how it did. And again, a lot of the credit there goes to David Ray for getting organized and, making sure we're at the new facility, just like the boys teams are, and making sure we've got good practice times and all those other things.
So there's a lot of parallels with you and his daughter Shelby too, kind of carving your own path when one didn't exist really yet in the Carolinas.
Yeah. So even, I look back 15 years ago now, but even the last 5 years, like the way obviously the organizations combined as the Carolina Junior Hurricanes is a big stepping stone to just keeping, combining all this talent, right? You hate to spread talent thin when there's not a ton of it in a growing market. So now that, it's all under one umbrella, I just think it's so great for the area. And I think, all these things that we're seeing now are a product of that.
So you've met my little daughter that's going to be coming up in girls. I mean, and you've got an ace up your sleeve. I know I'm not sure if you're allowed to tell everybody about it, but like girls hockey is just exploding. and the investment by the Hurricanes and the NHL and girls hockey here. And I hear that you have some other little news you might be able to give us a little nugget on.
Yeah, it's not official, but obviously, like you said, the Hurricanes are investing a lot in growing the girls' side of the youth game and just getting more girls involved and keeping them involved, right? I think they get a lot of girls that go to the First Goal program, which is that Learn to Play program for, kids, I think 5 to 9 years old. But then, after that, there's, you can join a house league, you can do all these different things, but there's not really an option just for girls only to continue to develop with their peers, to continue to find, be on a girls only team if that's what they want. So that's something that the Hurricanes are working on, and working with them on creating a program and an opportunity to do just that, is to offer more girls only opportunities so that obviously we can keep more girls in the sport. And then again, it's this pipeline of getting girls to, we have a U14 tier 1 team now. We've got great programs at the 10 and 12 level, and we just want to be able to continue to build that pipeline and really become a premier market for hockey in general.
Okay, so read between the lines, people. Something's coming for Learn to Play for girls. Just saying. She's not getting into the specifics, but it's coming. And if I know Shane and Emil too, and it stinks that COVID hit, because wasn't the new Learn to Play that was coming out, weren't they going to have like 1,000+?
Yeah, it's been growing every year. And yeah, so obviously with COVID, it put the First Goal program on hold just with so many restrictions. And, you need a lot of coaches out there. You need a lot of parents in the rink helping kids get ready. So it just didn't make sense to do now. But I know, again, Shane and Emil, they're working on making sure there's an opportunity to make sure, no kids get lost in this, and that there's going to be, an opportunity for them to try out the sport and get involved down the road.
Yeah, you couldn't even, we'd have like a practice after the new Learn to Play or First Goal come out, and you couldn't even get to the locker rooms because it was so, and you talk about energy and excitement. That's so cool.
Yep. Yeah. So it's fun to help out with, and it's obviously fun to see kids start the sport for the first time and, fall in love with it.
Okay. So we're going to take a turn and dive into your story, right? A girl, originally from Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Grew up in Raleigh, playing with co-ed teams and boys. When you started to get to the higher levels, like AAA, can you kind of talk about what your aspirations were then, what your parents were kind of talking about what direction you needed to go?
Yeah, it's kind of funny looking back that I think like my parents weren't like hockey people, right?
Oh, really?
So my brother and I played. Yeah, we had no idea what the process was. I didn't know what college hockey was. It was just like we loved it, and we wanted to continue to progress in our careers. So yeah, we had played roller hockey growing up, and we moved to Philadelphia for a few years and had some family friends that said, hey, you should try out ice hockey. And we kind of thought they were crazy because they were going to the rink at like 6 a.m. But we said, okay, we'll try it, and just fell in love with it. And then we moved down to Raleigh when I was 10, and I was actually still a goalie at the time.
Wow.
Goalie for a year or two.
Did you play out too, or did you just stick?
I think the one season I just did full goalie. One season I split with another kid. So yeah, it was fun. I don't know. I didn't know any different. I just loved playing. And then actually the one year, I think when I was just about 11, I tried out for the boys team as a goalie and then got cut. So at that point, the tryouts were done. And the only option for me was the one girls team in all of like the Carolinas, and it was a U16 team. We had girls from Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia to fill one team, and it wasn't even like a full team. But I was 11 and, playing these girls that are 15, 16, but it was just, again, my only option.
You got a lot of ice time?
Yeah, I don't know. I just remember I had fun. I think they kind of probably just treated me like their little sister and just was along for the ride. But yeah, it was just, again, didn't even really know what I was doing or just having fun with it. And again, it was my only option. So I was like, all right, let's do it. And then I actually switched back to boys the following year. So I made the boys team for the next 2 years. It was the East Coast Eagles back then. Played for Andrew Barron both those years. So he's still around and heavily involved. And at that point, I I had done my first year. We were hitting in Pee Wee back then. So I joined as a Pee Wee major, played my Bantam minor year with the boys. And then obviously that's where the growth really starts to, the strength, the speed, really starts to become a little bit more apparent. And, just clear that, I'd have to play girls at some point, and there still wasn't really any local options at all.
Okay.
My brother had been in the same, he was playing for the Eagles as well. He was looking at boarding school, and it was kind of just, I would go wherever he went. So he was going to go, the 1 year I was still playing boys, and we got lucky. His coach down here had heard about Shattuck and said, hey, you should go check it out. So he went towards Shattuck St. Mary's. They said, yeah, come. And so he went up there his sophomore year. I followed the next year as a freshman.
Cool.
So yeah, I was, again, it was fortunate, just lucky timing. Obviously, Shattuck's, well known as a hockey school and
just a tad,
things like that.
Just a tad.
Yeah, just a little, but even just the timing of, they were kind of revamping their U16 girls team at the time, and I go as a freshman and get to stay there for 4 years and play with girls that were on the Olympic team and national teams, all these, and just, on the ice 5-6 days a week. We were playing like 70-80 games a year for over 8 months. And, just the development, the ice time, the coaching, the competition, couldn't really have asked for more. And it's a very like blue collar school, right? Like even guys that, go there and they're projected to be superstars, like you're treated the same as everyone else. And
right.
the campus is nice, but it's not like some of these really, really wealthy prep schools you see sometimes. It's very simple and hardworking and pretty blue collar. So I loved it. Couldn't have been more grateful to just have gone when I did, to met the people I met, to have the coaching I got, and just develop on and off the ice.
See, I'm a couple, 2, 3, 5, 10 years older than you. And I used to work with a kid that went to Shattuck, and all he would talk about was how he was in love with this new kid named Crosby. And I was like, oh, do you have a poster of him up on your wall? Like, why won't you shut up about this kid? Little did we know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool to obviously they've been able to continue to be the powerhouse and things like that. But it's also, that being said, I think a lot of areas around the country, you look at St. Louis, you look at Arizona, all these areas are developing programs where you don't have to leave home, right? You can,
Carolina,
if it's an opportunity.
Raleigh,
yeah,
Carolina.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's cool to see that as well, where before it was you had to leave home if you wanted to make the next level. And now there's a lot of markets that are popping up and getting stronger and stronger where you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's always there, but it definitely helps, with the development and things like that.
That's huge for the game. And, I can't imagine my daughter, 13, 14, shipping her off. And I mean, there's no way. I don't know how I would do it. Maybe I'll crutch her. I don't want her to be that good, so she can ship off. But by that time, there'll be something happening here so huge she can stay.
Yeah, and I think that's what my parents knew, is that, they knew how passionate I was about the game, and that I wanted to, I make the Olympic team and things like that. And so it was my only, it was the option at the time. So I think it wasn't easy. I was definitely homesick at times, but I just knew that was something I wanted to do. And that was going to be the best chances of making that happen.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but before I let you go, can you also go into that last phase of recruitment, when you were up at Shattuck? I'm sure a lot of eyes were on you, and then how that developed into you heading over to Cornell for 4 years.
Yeah. Again, I kind of went there and didn't really know about the college process. So it's obviously fun to see the growth of the college game as well. But just wasn't the most highly recruited player in the world, that's for sure. And back then, you didn't really commit till your junior or senior year, whereas, some kids you see committing in 9th grade and things like that.
Yeah.
But I got interest from a few schools, and Cornell was actually the last one to reach out. And I went and visited the campus the summer after my junior year and just loved it. I loved the coaching staff, got to sit down with them. I love the campus and the way the program, they had just lost in triple overtime in the national championship game the year before. But I just knew that, there was a ton of Canadian national team girls in the program and things like that. And I just saw it as a place where I would get better, that I would improve as a player and get to learn from, Olympians and national team players every single day. And that was something that really appealed to me. So, it was kind of a no-brainer. Once I kind of visited the campus and met the coaches and things like that. And again, like really, really lucky for the 4 years we had with the success and the teams and the players I played with. And so it was it was an experience in 4 years that I loved.
And those other schools should have recruited you harder because you wound up going pro. They should have known better.
Yeah, it was funny. I was thinking about this like a couple months ago, and it was kind of like, thinking back, like, did I want to prove them, like, do you want to prove those schools wrong or those coaches wrong? And I looked at it more of, I want to prove Cornell right. Like at that point, it wasn't, it's like, why did I give any thought to people that didn't really want me at their program? And it was more like this program, this coaching staff, they wanted me. And I was going to do everything I could to prove them wrong because they were prove them right because they were investing in me and as a player and a person. And so that was just something I was reflecting on a few months ago, and something I've tried to tell people is, as much as it gives you a little edge to want to prove people wrong, whether, you're working out and you want to do a little bit extra or things like that, shoot some extra pucks. It's also, hey, making sure that the people that are in your corner, your family, the coaching staff, the program, that you're proving them right.
That's a great attitude. I always played it with a chip on my shoulder, but that's a totally different paradigm.
Yeah, it's still a chip, just a little bit of a different spin on it.
Right on. All right. Well, I'm going to give you the last word before I let you go. And I'd also like, how can people connect with what you're doing, the new team, like through social?
Yeah. The jr.hurricanes girls, I think, covers kind of the whole girls program.
Okay.
A lot of updates about our premier team on Twitter and Instagram and things like that. So that's probably a good place to check. And then, and then I think just, I guess the one thing I'd just add is the future of women's hockey is very exciting, even beyond the U19 level. Today, actually, there was an announcement that Secret Deodorant put in $1 million to the PWHPA, which is the Professional Women's Hockey Players Association.
Yeah.
And so they're making a big investment in the game. You're seeing a lot more sponsors, whether it's the WNBA, the NWSL, get in on women's sports and obviously more coverage and things like that. So I look at it as if there's a future to play professional hockey as a female athlete, that the trickle down effect that has all the way down to the kids that are just learning how to play. If they can see their favorite female athletes on TV, they're accessible, all these different things, like that changes the whole trajectory of, hockey and development and things like that. So I think that's really exciting as well.
Got a lot happening. And if, especially here, and I'm prejudiced because this is where I'm planted and I'm raising my daughters here in Raleigh, North Carolina. If people are interested and they're close to the area, or they're actually thinking about, transplanting and they want to come south to a great place, how would they get in touch with you or David Ray? Or I can even put your contact information in the show notes if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm always happy to chat or point people in the right direction with any interest. Again, I think it's an exciting time to be part of hockey in the Carolinas, and obviously the investment the Hurricanes are making on and off the ice, and obviously the success they're having as a team certainly helps as well, just to bring more people in. And I think you're going to see a lot more girls and women involved in the sport, more people of color. And I think can be more exciting.
Well, I want to thank you very much. I appreciate your time, Alyssa. And if you run into that other coach out on the ice, the one with the mustache, if you can give him a little nudge.
I think he said he was going to call you back soon. So he said he'd get back to you.
I'd love to get him on a podcast, as well as even do some, if you guys are open to some behind the scenes and chatting with some of the players at the rink and get some of their perspective on how the season's going. We could keep this on going and have a little documentary this year.
Yeah, I know Mike said he'll get back to you. So I'll get on him.
All right. Well, I thank Alyssa for being on the show today. Remember, this is brought to you by Scout My Game. You can get your free player profile if you go there. We'll leave that down in the show notes as well. This is the Hockey Podcast of the Carolinas. Thank you, and we'll see you next time. Bye. You guys have a lot of eyes on your stuff, though, and David Ray's killing it.
Yeah, he does a great job, and I think it says recording in the top left.
Hey, thanks, Alyssa.